My name is Colin Campbell. I work at Elusys Therapeutics, and my title is Manager Process Development. Well, it's basically a biochemistry position. We work on a therapeutic for anthrax. It's an anti-anthrax antibody, basically. My position is process development, which means we take the process and scale it up to a scale that could be used to manufacture the product as as a drug product. It starts, the whole process really starts at a small laboratory scale, and we, then expand that and bring it to the point where we can make kilograms of this protein to be used as a drug product then. Typical day is kind of hard to describe. The days vary quite a bit. Sometimes the day before you don't really even know what you're going to be doing the next day. Right now, my work is focusing a lot on assays and assay development and assay transfer to the CMOs that we're working with. CMO is a contract manufacturing organization. We basically contract with a company to do manufacturing. We don't do manufacturing in our plant. At other times, I'll be working more on the process. The process, right now since we're working with the CMO, the process is defined by them, but then we oversee the work that they do as well. And it's based on the small scale laboratory work that we have done. And we try to guide the scale up process. Okay, I graduated in '91 from Rutgers with a bachelor's in biochemistry. From there, I went to a nonprofit cancer research institute, which was sort of another step. It was very similar to still being in school, and I learned an awful lot there. That was the first 5 years of my career. And I feel like the work I did at the end of my career at school and then the first 5 years there kind of built a very strong foundation for me in my career. From there, then I went to Roche, and I was in Roche's diagnostics division. And based on the foundation that I had built in my first job, I was very successful there. And, because I had a strong foundation, I was able to grow in my career there to the point where I managed a group of 20 scientists. Me having a bachelor's degree, I was managing PhDs. I had PhDs reporting to me. I felt like I kind of got stuck in a bit of a rut there, though. So then at that point, I went to Elusys, where I'm at now. I've been here for 3 years. And we're doing more protein type of work, which is what I want to get back into. So that's sort of been my career path and how I've ended up here. Is it typical? I don't think so. I think typically people will go to school. They may leave school and go into industry, things like that. But I think typically people go back and get their PhD. I went back. I took one or two classes, but I found it very hard to work and take classes at the time. I was a little fed up with school when I left, and I really didn't want to go back to college. So I sort of stayed, in industry. I don't think it's a typical path. I think it's a path that's worked well for me, though. I think my aha moment happened before my career really even started. In college, I was a little bit lost as for why I was taking all these hard classes, all these chemistry classes. And so one day I went to my advisor. It was my senior year. I went to my advisor to talk to him about it and see, what can I do with the degree I'm trying to complete. And he said to me, well, why don't you come work in my lab? So I did. I volunteered in his lab, and I worked there for basically about 2 semesters. And it happened to be over the summer as well. He was teaching. His lab was a protein lab where they did a lot of protein purifications and they did a lot of chromatography. He asked me to help out with a short course that they were teaching. And during that short course, it was a chromatography short course. During that class, though, they took a small column and they put this brown liquid on it. And they would let this stuff run down the column, and it's separated out into three colorful bands. And I said, wow, that's pretty cool. So there I discovered chromatography, and that was sort of my aha moment. I discovered chromatography, I could understand it, and basically the rest of my career is kind of based on that moment. Most of the work I've done has been chromatography and downstream processing, and it was a result of volunteering to work in my advisor's lab. Well, coming to a small biotech, I thought things would be a little different than they are. I thought that it would be more like being back in a research institute, like sort of more like my first job. It's not quite that way, though. There's a lot of competition here. I thought it would be, since it's a small company, I thought it would be like a small family, and it is in some ways, but it's not in a lot of ways too. It's kind of, I think there's a lot of pressure and a lot of expectations that people have set on themselves, and it's a lot more competitive than I was expecting it to be. I expected it to be more of a family type environment. Well, my favorite part is lab work, and chromatography is my favorite part. I really like dealing with chromatography and doing separations, I think because I can see how it's working in my head. And that's really my favorite part of the job. I think the key skills for the job are, first of all, having a solid base of knowledge, of scientific knowledge. It's also, though, being able to think and troubleshoot problems, and to be able to think your way through the problem and quickly get to a resolution of it. That's sort of one side of it. I think people skills, though, are another part of it, too. When I was managing a group of 20 people, you have a whole lot of different personalities, and to be able to get people to do what you want, people skills are a big part of it, too. Well, I would say go for it. I would say don't be intimidated. I find that a lot of people starting out in their career are very intimidated by PhDs, in particular, I guess. There seems to be a big barrier to getting into a scientific career, and people starting out tend to be intimidated by that. There's a lot of strong personalities. I would say to not let that hold you back. To just learn to deal with a lot of strong personalities, learn to have confidence in yourself, and make decisions and feel confident in them. And I think confidence probably is a very important thing as well.